Hello and welcome. My name is John Livermore. Today I'm going to discuss emergency medical technicians being removed from the Air Force Fire Department. Recently, the Air Force came down with a policy to remove emergency medical technicians and downgrade us to emergency medical responders. A little background about myself: I've spent roughly 20 years in the United States Air Force. During that time, I've been stationed throughout the world, including 5 deployments. During that time, I've held every position from assistant chief, which is command and control of the scene, all the way down to the back border on the fire truck. The Air Force's new policy to remove us as emergency medical technicians and downgrade us to emergency responders would limit our capabilities on an emergency medical scene. Contrary to many beliefs, fire department typically responds to more medical emergencies than fire. As you can see here from the National Fire Protection Association, the blue line is medical calls, the red line is fire calls, and the dotted lines is false alarm. You can have the false alarms and fire calls up, and it's still not getting close to medical. By them downgrading us, we're going to be losing a roughly 11 years of knowledge on any medical scene. I'm going to discuss to you my basis scenario where I'm stationed at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska and tell you some of the things that will be taken from our population. Our population is roughly 7,500 people on the Air Force Base, and we're located about 3 miles from our base hospital. Our base hospital takes an estimated time of 7 minutes to respond to any medical scene on the Air Force Base. And this is during good traffic. This isn't during the rush time. This isn't during an active shooter or an aircraft emergency or a big accident or emergency of any sort. So they take 7 minutes to respond, where we average 3 minutes to respond. So that's a difference of 4 minutes that before anyone that can provide any type of advanced medical service would arrive. Advanced medical service consists of oxygen, activated charcoal, taking your oxygen level through your fingers, and a lot of other medical tests we're not able to do. For instance, lung sounds, listening to heartbeats. The Air Force believes that by doing this, they'll save money. The training we would have to do to get downgraded to EMR's emergency medical responder would be $7,500 next year. To continue at the capability we are, it would be $400, roughly $15 per firefighter. Last year, Offutt Air Force Base responded to 90% medical calls. During that time, we were first on scene 96% of the time. The only time we weren't on scene first is if we were in the middle of another emergency. Other aspects to look at why we should keep this is there's all sorts of emergencies: fire, hazardous material, confined space, aircraft emergencies, high angle emergencies. A lot of these times, the ambulance personnel is unable to make it into that area until it is safe. That would definitely delay the time that patient would receive treatment. Also, the average years on Offutt Air Force Base for a firefighter with EMT is over 13 years. The average ambulance person has less than 2 years. The ambulance people can fill any role in the medical facility. They could be documents, they could be the laboratory, they could be dental assistant. So these guys aren't dealing with this on day to day. We train for this 24/7, 365. That's all we know is emergency medical technician. Taking this from us would reduce the amount of time a patient would have before they actually hit that advanced life support. Yes, it's 12 minutes nationwide that the first advanced life support should ride on scene, but the Air Force doesn't really go by that policy. There's a golden hour as well. They say 1 hour for any injured person to get to a medical facility. The Air Force goes 30 minutes. So we're 8 minutes away from a hospital. It takes the ambulance 7 minutes to get there. So that's 15 minutes. On scene, we average 40 minutes on scene during a medical call. So we're under that golden hour. We're right on the border of that golden hour with the medical technicians. And that's, like I said, perfect timing. Also, the experience is drastic. We have guys that have been all throughout the world, and all they know is emergency technician. So to go over all this, price cutting, isn't going to work because it's cheaper to keep us at this advanced state. Is it better for our patients? No, it's not. It's going to limit what we can provide them. Basic CPR will turn into basic CPR. We won't be able to provide oxygen through the bag valve mask. We'll just be using a mask and blowing into it like any other person. As well as some tests at hospitals like oxygen level, lung sounds, heart sounds. We won't be able to do that anymore either. And that's drastically going to hurt the patient. The time, we're going to hit that golden hour or be really close to it if they respond and it's perfect traffic. A lot of times also, depending on the weight of the person and the size of the person, if fire department is unable to help, there's only 2 people in the ambulance. We always come with 4 on the engine. So the manpower on scene will be drastically smaller. And on a bad incident, for instance, CPR, we need all hands on deck. It's exhausting. It's hard work to do CPR. In our years, like I said, that's a huge thing. We have so great of continuity, and all we do is train, like I said. So I think it's a terrible idea. It's common sense. We're trained to do it. We're able to do it. We want to do it. That's the thing. The big thing is the want. We want to help people. And like I said, this is all we know. They know so much more than us when it comes to the hospital setting, but on an emergency scene, this is all we know. I'd really like you to consider my testimony as accurate and really think about it. Would you want your fire departments responding to you and only be able to provide you the basics? That doesn't make sense, especially when they're trained and it's cheaper and it's better for the client. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Goodbye.